Hello and welcome to another edition of Pricing College with your hosts Aidan Campbell
and Joanna Wells.
If you are an avid listener to our regular appointments or regular podcasts, you may be wondering where we were over the last month or two, and the answer is we were too busy at Taylor Wells to record a podcast. So I don't know how you coped without us and all our great pricing information. So here we are back today, and we are covering the topical question that is in the press relating to white goods. The pricing on white goods, such as washing machines, fridges, that sort of thing, is increasing apparently for the first time in almost a decade.
Yeah, it seems like everything's increased. Prices are increasing at the moment. It's in the press a lot across the board. But we were particularly interested in white goods because, as Aidan says, they haven't increased for, a number of years now, about a decade. So why now? So I think just to sort of start off, why didn't they take the price increase? I think looking at it in terms of, often businesses look at this in terms of their costs. They think it's much easier to reduce costs through manufacturing, different type of input cost, material cost reductions, those sort of things, than to increase the retail price to customers. So often that has been the general way of maximising margins. I think, though, over the past few months, that hasn't been possible with fluctuating input material costs, FX changes, and also changes in customer preferences. People want different types of, fridges and all those white goods. They don't want the same old. So that changes the manufacturing process as well. But starting with that first one, let's just really examine that sort of, the cost implications there. There's been very much a focus on that. And as a response, not really thinking much about the customer and moving with the times.
Yeah, look, I think with inflation kicking off, something people had forgotten about, clearly, that explains why these companies are pushing prices up. One of the things, though, that surprised me when I read these news stories was that prices had not increased in 10 years. Like, I'll be honest, I actually doubt that that's true. Just from visiting, Harvey Norman is one of the big retailers here in Australia that sells, those sort of white goods. And it's actually very interesting to walk around those areas where you're seeing, the washing machines, the dishwashers, microwaves, all those sort of items. And what I will say is just the quality of these machines has improved. The efficiency, the water efficiency, the electricity efficiency, the features, they're through the roof. They're infinitely better than what was standard 10 to 15 years ago. And so to some extent, I was very surprised to hear this. And I actually doubt the prices have stayed static. I actually think they've significantly increased. Even items such as televisions, which I'm not sure if they fall into the white goods category. But if we stick even to fridges, 10, 15 years ago, a standard fridge, it was white, a white good. It was not very many bells and whistles. Now they have, ice makers is reasonably standard in many. You've got chilled water dispensers. You have the American style fridge, which is still reasonably new in Australia, where the large, almost designer style fridges. You have, ridiculous new aspects such as, touch screens and, temperature monitors and aspects where you can change compartments from freezer to just chilled. So the actual features and benefits of the product it's increased, many times over. They're infinitely better than they used to be. And I also personally think the prices has gone up significantly also. So I do think I'd like to look a bit more into detail into what that actually means, how they categorize this pricing staying static, and if it actually is accurate.
Yeah, I think in regards to that, I know what you're saying. I think that has to do with ranging. They are changing their product strategy by using sort of that good, better, best plus, almost ultra premium, by introducing all the bells and whistles with these almost computerized fridges. Whether or not, yes, the prices are much higher than the standard fridge, But I actually speculate, are they high enough for what they actually offer? Or, are they putting those premium sort of fridges out there to test demand? Because I just can't imagine there's a huge demand out there for an 8,000 grand fridge. But have we seen in other industries, at the moment, since COVID, there's been bubbles of demand in that, middle class population who want premium goods. So actually, what we could be seeing is a ranging strategy that is keeping up to date with demand for absolute premium and luxury. However, we haven't got any past data on that, so how long would that bubble last? Don't know. But there aren't huge amounts of premium fridges in the market to know that. And I think overall, still you've got your standard fridges on the bulk of the market. And that is where I think they're keeping their cost and price competitive. And that's where the stability has been with price. And that's where the major price increase, controversial price increase is occurring now. So overall, the whole category of fridges is being moved up. And I think that's been dragged up by this ultra premium range.
Yeah, you're not going to hear any argument from me on that one. I think that hits it really. I think, you've got your standard, the fridge that chills food, and then you have it's almost a status symbol. And I think maybe COVID has exacerbated the way we live, and again, my views here could be based from watching 1950s and 60s television shows, but I think in which that's where everyone's education comes from. But I think that most people had dinner parties in that era. The guests didn't congregate in the kitchen. From what I've watched in those sort of TV shows, people had their dinner in the dining room, and the hosts would bring the food through. Whereas I think now, and again, this is based on watching TV shows, I think people entertain more in these luxury kitchens that they have, where they have the kitchen's almost a focal point in the house, which is a change in living style. And, you have granite tops, you have the concept of an island in the kitchen, you have designer sinks with, 2 sinks, and is it the AG ovens and all these sort of things that really form it's almost like an entertaining space, and it's almost like a status symbol where to show how much stuff you have. It used to be, here's my car, now it is, look at my fridge. And I think if you have these obviously a fancy kitchen, you do need to have a fancy fridge, and you want your ice compartments, and you want something to show off. So I think it's almost, these things white goods used to be staples. They used to be utilities or basics, and now I think they are, as Joanna mentioned. I think you still have that, and that's where cost plus and inflation's kicking in. But I think you have, you've probably got the Bugattis and the Rolls Royces of fridges now also that people will cough up for. And then you also have some of these, I think they're washing machines, somewhere like German manufactured, where they're so high tech, they're almost like, they're like chalk and cheese.
The interesting thing will be when they find, as I was saying before, that there's not huge demand for those ultra premium now. There's still more demand for the standard offer, so manufacturing's still good around that. But if that demand does shift, so too operations and all that manufacturing, the value manufacturing will have to change. And then it'll become interesting, and then there'll be more price changes with that as well, I suppose. But I think it really is a trial. I am quite interested to see how they've calculated prices for the ultra premium range. Have they just used, the conventional skimming strategy, start high, it's novel, we've got a computer that basically almost speaks to you. What we think that as a manufacturer of those ultra premium goods is going to be novel. People don't really fully understand it. When people don't fully understand it, research shows they're more likely to spend more money on it. But as the market matures and they understand the offer, then it decreases. I wonder if they're using that as their main guiding principle to pricing, or whether they're using more sophisticated value-based approaches. And thinking about, as Aidan was going on, about like those specifications of the product, what that means to the customer. Has the market research on customer usage really been explored, and how's that been interpreted into the price calculations? So those sort of things are intriguing to me as a pricing expert in that space. But, at the same time, I think it's pretty much a wait and see. The market's changing hugely now. COVID restrictions are lifting. People are travelling. Disposable income in household goods probably will decrease. What does that mean? For white goods, will innovation in that space slow down, and will ranging change back to normal? And will be. I don't think, obviously, now we've got introductions to new premiums that offers. There's always going to be people that are going to buy it, but at what pace is the question. Okay.
Yeah, I've just got one more point to make, and I think it's related to this idea of the Internet of Things. And I only became aware of this in relation to white goods when I was browsing, as mentioned, in the shop. And I think with some of the fridges now, they can check what's in the fridge. They can even suggest, they're hooked up to the internet, and they can suggest recipes or meals that you could make from those 5 items in the fridge. And they can tell you if food is expiring, if it's going off, if you need to buy more. And what almost inevitably will happen. There will be tie-ups between the white goods companies, between the fridges, and I'm concentrating on fridges here. But it will apply to others also. But you'll have the fridges; they'll be linked up to online shopping through the supermarkets or through delivery companies, Marley Spoon or HelloFresh or one of these sort of companies. And it's completely, I think you're only a couple of years away, really, from an integrated food provision service, whereby your fridge is, it's more of this network concept, where rather than just buying a fridge to store food, you are buying a meal delivery. It's almost, a just-in-time sort of delivery process or logistics almost to get the food straight to your belly, almost, let's be honest. So it's, I think that's the way it will go. I think you'll see these companies tie up more and more. There'll be automatic ordering. It'll probably automatically learn how you eat, what you like, how you consume quickly. It'll order stuff in advance for you. It might even give you treats on your birthday by ordering birthday cakes. All that sort of stuff is just around the corner. And when you get into that, the pricing equation changes, and I don't think we'll be talking about cost plus. So, all right, that's it from me. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening.